Ramsey is probably the most criticized in the personal finance world. But this video went viral, and it's basically agreeing with what Dave teaches about paying off debt and living on less than what you make and not trying to keep up with the Joneses and impress everybody. So if you're not one of the 5.6 million views that this video has gotten, if you don't know what we're talking about, this old video from the Ramsey Show has kind of come back again in a viral TikTok. And Dave is basically giving his Dave advice of what this caller should do with her $1 million or almost $1 million worth of debt, her and her husband. It's interesting reading the comments of this TikTok. It seems like a lot of people agree that this is outrageous and that no one should have that much debt. I mean, the comments are real extreme, and they're basically just calling these people not bright, stupid, I guess is the Dave Ramsey word, but he didn't use that word in this call, which was interesting. Most of the debt that this caller had was like over $300,000 of student loans, credit cards, like over $100,000 in credit cards.
Credit cards and personal loans.
Yeah, then they had personal loans. I think it was like 40-ish thousand, and then they had car loans, which like the least amount in like 30,000, something like that.
Yeah.
And it came to almost $1 million. Seems like people agree that debt is bad, but people don't agree with how Dave says to approach debt. Like, yeah,
people don't agree that debt is bad until they hear something that makes them like wince, and $1 million, makes you wince. There was a clip from an old movie called what was it called? Michael Myers. Sorry. Austin Powers. There you go. Austin Powers. If you haven't seen that movie, man, it's not worth watching. But still,
I haven't seen
there's a scene where the main bad guy, he's frozen in time, like frozen in a block of ice. And he gets out of that block of ice, and he hijacks, like, the world and says, like, aims missiles at all these different places. And then he's like, and now he's like in current times, and he's like, if all the world, all the countries can come together and give me $1 million, then I will release you all from these missiles. And his team had to remind him, or let's let him know that $1 million is not all that. Everybody has their price. Everybody has their thing that makes them like, ugh, and $1 million is that thing for a lot of people, to make them just back up and say, okay, now enough is enough.
Right. I think that it is a lot easier to see, sort of like what you're saying, it's so much easier to see other people's mistakes in other people than it is to see it in yourself. Like, we could have debt, obviously we do, and we could rack up the debt and not see it as an issue until we see somebody else. And it's like, oh, goodness, like, that's not smart. Like, why would you get so much debt? I think we all could be that caller. I think we all do those kind of things, maybe on a smaller scale. I don't think anyone can necessarily judge another person and say, I would never do that. I think financially we've all made mistakes, just maybe not at that big of a scale. And it's so much easier to see her mistakes or see this couple's mistakes just because it's almost $1 million. But debt is debt, and if you got it, you should get rid of it. Or that's Dave's message, is that you should get rid of it. I'll link the video down below, but if you haven't seen it, they are high income earners. So Dave later said in like an interview with Fox or someone that he wasn't too worried about it because they had the money that they could handle it. It would take some sacrifice, he still admitted, but it wasn't like they had almost $1 million and they're, no offense, they're a school teacher or something. Like, that's like, oh no. Like, because in the call, she also brought up the idea of bankruptcy. She was almost ready to give up. A lot of people in comments even said that she probably did. Like, this video was from, or this call was from like 4 years ago. So there's no telling whatever happened, if she took the advice or not. I find it interesting that people can agree with Dave about debt is bad and it's silly to get so much debt, but they don't agree with him on how to get rid of it, which is basically annihilating your lifestyle, which is basically Like he said he was going to drop their lifestyle down to like 30,000 because they were in the $200,000.
Yeah, like I'm gonna take y'all from living a lifestyle with $230,000 to just 30.
Right.
And really $30,000 is if you're not on government assistance and stuff like that, that's like a survivable income to Dave Ramsey, and also it's what is considered a survivable income to live off of. Like those are your expenses when they're tallied up. If you're going bare minimum, that's the amount that you would be paying.
We're sort of doing that. Like we have done it. We've lived,
Yeah.
especially since we have like a family. I don't think they had children. The fact that we have children, but
like because they were mad young. They're 29 and.
You think
31.
That's mad young? I find it interesting. That was Dave's first question too. Once she broke down all the debt, I got this, this, and this. He said, "How old are you?" But I think it gave context into, okay, if you had years and decades to build up that debt, that's a little understandable. But if you're young and you've already got that so much debt, there's kind of a problem there. Like possibly almost like addictive, like something wrong in that area. The idea of how to fix it is interesting, that people aren't willing to do that. They would rather go towards the bankruptcy than to go through the sacrifice and the hard work and the sleepless nights and everything else and saying no. Then they rather not do all that. They rather just fix it very quickly. And something like that can't be fixed quick. Well, I think it kind of goes back to what we've been saying, or basically what I've been saying is the only way to pay off debt is you have to increase your income, decrease your expenses, and throw the rest at debt. Yeah. I mean, at the very least, that's what you have to do. There's no quick way or easy way to get out of it.
And then there's the idea of the debt to income ratio. Just, these people are $1 million in debt, or were $1 million in debt, but they were making around $230,000 to $250,000. When you do the math, it's a fourth of that, which means that if you put all your money together, in 4 years you would get out of that debt. Or you can live off the 30 and basically put all your money together, and it'll be 5 years. It's not too bad. It would look worse if you were a teacher or making this $50,000 and you had $1 million of debt. But think about the fact that we were at 133 or 134 around there, $1,000 of debt, and I'm making $50,000. That is roughly a third. The concept there is look at your debt and income ratio and really see, if David's saying, "Oh, well, these kids, they'll figure it out," the idea that it's $30,000 to live off of, and that's going to hurt us a lot more than it will hurt somebody who is making $230.
Why do you say that?
Because we don't have a lot more to throw at the debt.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I see. So even though we would come down to the same income level, we won't have that surplus. We won't have what is called margin. So we have to do something else to create a bigger margin. It's not cutting expenses for us because for us, it's increasing the income. Like
David isn't telling them to make more money. He will tell us to make more money because 30,000 is that there is no percentage. It doesn't grow or shrink. That's 30,000 is that baseline. Hey, you can live. You can barely survive off this.
There were a good amount of comments to, again, criticizing the caller that she doesn't seem like she cared enough, or that she was stressed out enough, or she was kind of laughing a little bit at times. And who knows? I mean, if you're on, like a national radio show, maybe you're a little nervous. Who knows?
Yeah. But I mean, what were they expecting her to do? Like, just, sign up for the therapist or something? Like,
or,
be driving to the bridge, like, I'm about to jump off?
Or crying, or just a little more.
Like Dave was trying, I know he was trying to scare her, but he wasn't trying to, kill her,
I don't think he was trying to scare her. I mean, I think she was already scared.
He said, "I'm gonna rock you, not really rock your world, but I'm gonna make your twist flipped upside down or something."
Hold on, let me see.
Destroy you.
So Dave was like about to destroy your life or something along those lines. And so that's the point. I feel like extreme times call for extreme measures. If you're dealing with $1 million or close to $1 million of debt, you can't just dance and prance and wander in it and just maybe I'll do a little of this and I won't get my Starbucks today. No, you have to do something very extreme to get rid of it. If your financial goals are big and they seem like you can't do it, I think that every little bit helps. Yes, I think small steps will eventually get you there.
Mm-hmm.
And slow and steady wins the race. But if you're trying to get out, then you want to try to get out as soon as you can. It is going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to be cutting. It is going to be destroying your life. Like how Dave talks about the gazelle intensity and being angry and the fact that, hey, we're called dead haters. Like, you have to have that feeling throughout, or else it'll take you a while, or else you won't keep at it. So
yeah.
I think there's a healthy balance, but I think Dave is right there that your lifestyle does have to be cut. You can't continue to eat out. Like the fact that he said you're not going to eat out.
But was that where the people were agreeing, or were people against the you got to change your lifestyle? Or were people more okay with the bankruptcy stuff, or were they more like, yo, like we agree with Dave, change your lifestyle, eat beans and rice, live off of 30,000 instead of 200.
No, I don't. It seemed like people did not agree. It seemed like most of the comments were just basically reactionary, like, wow, and WTF, and how could she get all that, and they're not real smart, and I'm being nice. I mean, their comments were a little more harsh, but the comments that did address Dave's advice of cutting your lifestyle, those comments made it seem like that was hard to do. Like, how can I? Like, there were comments talking about how they DoorDash and that they have to get rid of the app on their phone, and what are they going to do without having, food delivered and all this stuff. So, especially millennials and Gen Zers, we like our conveniences. I mean, that's just how it is. So I think that is hard for people to give up.
And this couple was recently married. They were, I think they were like a year in or something like that.
Yeah.
And we know from experience that there are people out there who are wanting to marry and enjoy, the idea of having two big incomes and living off of it and traveling and enjoying all of the expenses that you can afford, and and going into this marriage saying, yo, I'm going to live off 30 and pay it all towards that,
right. And the fact
for 5 years-ish.
Right. And the fact that they got all these degrees, they probably want to enjoy what they worked so hard for, that they want to enjoy that money.
It wasn't anything new that Dave was saying. It was classic Dave stuff. Hey, yo, sell the car if you need to sell the car, sell the house. Oh, yeah, you're not even living in it. Yo, you're renting it out. Man, just sell that. So he's like, just get rid of what you need to get rid of. It'll reduce your debt down. There was also, the classic Dave thing of, oh my goodness, you're going to college on a, really bad degree, working for the government. He held his head. He stopped himself because, they were making $230,000. But before he heard that, he wasn't too happy with that physically. He didn't really talk about it too much because she did talk about the income afterwards. But, you could see, like Dave doesn't like you going to college for something that's not going to make you enough money to do anything. You better be, as my wife always said from Dave, a doctor or a lawyer, get in that much debt.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it just makes sense. I mean, if you're going to invest in something, you want a return on your investment. You want an ROI that's an actual deal, that's actual profit. It's same with, so I do some reselling. It doesn't make sense for me to buy something for $5 and then I flip it for $5 or $8. That's not a huge profit. If I find something for $5 and I can flip it for 50, 60, $100, that's a deal. And that's what education should be. You are investing in something that's going to make you more than you put in. Also liked that those comments, speckled in those comments, were some people sharing their debt payoff journeys. People who were in debt X amount of dollars and they paid it off, and they were encouraging and saying, hey, keep going, you can do it. There were a lot of people obviously wondering whatever happened to this lady and her husband. Like, it was 4 years ago. Did she ever pay it off? Like, we all love a
Dave should do a follow-up.
I can imagine if that was you and you realize that, over 5 million people are listening to your call, wouldn't you want to call in again and say, hey?
Yeah, because now, 4 years have passed. If you really think about it, they should be out of debt now.
If they did
if they did the Dave Ramsey stuff,
yeah,
sold the condo, lived off of beans and rice, this will be around that time when things will be,
Yeah.
you know, going their way.
Yeah, but most people bet that she didn't do it. Like,
Then she'll have 3 more years
Yeah.
to, you know, deal with the bankruptcy.
or, yeah, because 7 years. But it was an interesting call. So, wherever you are on your debt-free journey, keep